Am I the a-hole for being honest with my cousin? I have two cousins from my Aunt Jane. Kira is 14 and Allison is 11. Kira's always been ostracized in the family and never knew why. The truth is, Aunt Jean slept with her sisters, my Aunt Lulu's husband John, and Kira is the result. The only person truly suffering because of this is Kira. Jean still shows up to all family gatherings. John is still married to Lulu. Lulu don't speak to Jane, but the rest of the family does. But the one person who gets nothing out of the family is Kira. Of 13 cousins, I am the only one cousin who speaks to her. Some of those cousins are Kira's half-siblings, and they know about her. Allison also speaks to her, but they're close. Kira has been left alone and left out of stuff for as long as I can remember. I was told about Kira aged 5 when I asked why she didn't get anything for Christmas. My dad said everyone did it out of respect for Lulu, who was deeply hurt by the affair. Even then, it made no sense to me, but to the rest of my family, that stuff is normal. My grandma's sister turned 93 weeks ago, and we were all at my grandparents' house to celebrate. Yet again, Kira was left out, so I hung out with her and Allison when Allison wasn't being pulled into stuff by Jane. Kira got real upset because some people straight out ignored her when she said hi, and it confused the hell out of her why everybody hated her so much. She said her mom would never tell her anything, and she wished she could know. So I told her. None of it was her fault, but that the adults are horrible, and the family should never have taken it out on her. That nothing that her parents did should have made her suffer. She was broken, but she told me she was glad she knew. She confronted Aunt Jean about it, which is when crap hit the fan. Everyone said I had no right to tell her, that it wasn't my place, and that at 17 I might be young, but I should know better. The worst part, and what makes me feel worse, is her anger made everyone say what a selfish brat she is, and how she should be more understanding of the pain Lulu and Lulu's kids feel. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. You probably lifted a weight off her shoulders. Now she can live her life knowing her family's a bunch of idiots who are blaming her for her mom's mistakes. That family's toxic. I would get out ASAP. She's too young to go anywhere for the next 4 years. My ex-husband ran away from home at 14 years old because his family was toxic. And when authorities tried to send him back, he refused. He told them if they send him back, he'll just keep running away. So they put him into foster care, and his mom had to pay support. My point is, if she feels she can't handle it, there are options, if she's desperate and unhappy enough to take them. Not the a-hole, at all. Your entire family are the a-holes. A child should never have to be punished for their parents' mistakes. How can no one think of the pain they're causing her? They care more about Lulu's pain, and Lulu straight up hates Kira. I've heard her wish Kira dead before. She says the same about Jane, but Kira did nothing to anyone. It's not like she chose to be born, or chose who her parents are. Everyone sucks here. It really wasn't your place to tell her. But for the rest of the family to ignore an innocent child in favor of an adult, they're all a bunch of a-holes. I know. I just wanted to try and make things a little easier for her because I knew she was going to be let in the dark. Next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting sister from wedding and insulting stepmother? For a background, I'm an affair child. My dad was married to Marie and had 3 children. Male 8, male 6, female 4 at the time. After Marie found out about the affair, she was devastated, but stuck by my dad because she loved him. After she found out I was on the way, it was salt in the wound for Marie. She tried to tell my dad it was either his unborn child, me, or her in their relationship. However, she backed down when my dad made it clear he would choose me. I spent time with both my parents, but my dad paid for my other 3 siblings to go to school near him and wanted me to attend too, so I mainly lived with him and Marie and my 3 half-siblings. My dad was often away, so Marie sometimes would be taking care of me if it was school time. I always knew Marie didn't like me, even from a young age. She would do things like tuck her kids into bed and leave me out, or take her kids out while I wasn't there, or buy her kids toys and not me. The 3 would always talk about it, and I'd always feel left out. My siblings also didn't like including me in games and stuff, and I believe it was Marie's influence because she'd often tell them I'm not their real sibling, and I think she used to talk bad about my mother to them. Basically, I was the one that shouldn't exist and was treated as such. My dad noticed. It was something him and Marie used to fight about, but my dad always made it up to me. Example, if they all went out without me for ice cream, he would take me for ice cream. If their mother bought them new toys and not me, he would buy me a new toy. My siblings always took this as favoritism, and it further divided us. When I was 17, my dad divorced Marie. My 3 siblings went no contact with our dad, and I didn't really speak to Marie much. Our dad ended up marrying my mother a few years after divorcing Marie. I reached out to my siblings a few years back. The 2 boys said they weren't interested, but Lauren and I have met for coffee a couple times and we get along really well. I've been planning my wedding for a while, and I decided to invite Lauren. And after a positive reaction, I decided as an olive branch to invite Marie and my 2 brothers. I received a nasty message from my brother asking how dare I invite them, knowing our dad and my mother would be there acting as if they'd rip their family apart. I told him obviously they wouldn't have to talk to them if they came, but I just thought it would be nice to at least give them an invite. He asked what makes me think my wedding is so important that they want an invite, so I just ignored him. Lauren found out about the argument and basically tried convincing me to uninvite my mother and my father, and chose them and the women that raised me, and that my mother and father were a-holes. Told her she can't be serious, and that Marie was a witch to me, and literally resented my existence. Things got heated. Lauren called me an a-hole, and I told her it takes one to know one, and that she can forget about the wedding entirely. Received another nasty paragraph from my brother, and my other brother removed me from Facebook. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole for trying to reach out, but I feel there is more to this story. All the parents here are the worst. Why did your bi dad and mom leave it to your stepmom to be the primary caregiver when they knew she resented you? Were they using stepmom as a free babysitter while bi mom and dad carried on their affair? And your dad went on business trips all the time to see your mom. Seems like dad only left stepmom for your mom when child-rearing tasks were done. It's bizarre you didn't live with your bi mom, near your dad, so that you could attend a nice school and get regular time with dad. Bio dad and mom are responsible for your childhood trauma as stepmom. They didn't do the minimum to protect and raise you, and you're really letting them off the hook in all this. My dad paid for his other 3 children to go to British private school. He thought it was only fair I went to the same school. My mom lived 30 minutes away from my father's house, and my school was 20 minutes away from my father's house. There was no school bus, and 15 minutes over an hour with traffic is a lot for my mother to drive every day with school. So it was easier for me to just stay at my dad's house because Marie would be dropping the other 3 off anyway. I'm also not sure my dad knew to the extent at the time. He would get mad when she obviously left me out, but the minor but important things he probably didn't realize. They didn't carry on the affair. My dad genuinely had business trips to go on. He didn't see my mother apart from dropping me off sometimes for years. He admitted that he loved my mother, and that he left Marie because she isn't a nice person, in his words. My parents never caused me any trauma. My mother couldn't move closer because she was quite poor, and Marie wouldn't have wanted my dad to help her out. My mother's a really kind person, and so is my dad. Okay, but the responsible and natural thing would have been for your mom to move close to her school and be your primary caregiver. Your stepmom wasn't happy about raising you, but she did it. So I don't see how she could have stopped your dad from financially helping your mom if he really wanted to. Seems like he was doing whatever suited him best regardless of how it affected others. In your original post, you indicate that your dad did know about the problems and that he tried to make it up to you by buying you things. So I think you need to be honest with yourself about his role in your difficult childhood. I'm just saying you have one perspective on this, and if you're not interested in considering the other side, then you should probably just leave stepmom and half-siblings alone. Everyone had a rough go, and the one most to blame is your dad. You posted here for an objective perspective, and based on the info given, your dad is not a nice person. He is a terrible husband and father who ruined a lot of lives with his selfishness. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I'm not her late sister and she needs to see a therapist? My 19 female sister-in-law's 27 little sister passed away 3 years ago. Though she said she already grieved her death, I think otherwise. She likes to compare anything I do to what her sister did. And sure, 1 or 2 things I'm sure we did alike, but she's taken as far as comparing almost everything I do. The subjects I took in high school, sports I've played, colors I like, the way I decorate my room, even snack/food I like, the way I eat. I've told her, as nicely as I can, if she could let up comparing me to her late sister all the time, because it sort of weirded me out. She did not. When she still continued to do it, I talked to my sister, her wife, and told her to ask her to stop. She didn't. Everyone calls me overdramatic and said I should let her continue as she clearly sees me as a little sister, and that is normal behavior. She's been a lot worse lately since my boyfriend has been over more. She'll make comments like, "My parents would have never allowed my sister to have a boyfriend in her room or spend a night." Or, "You're lucky your boyfriend isn't around me or I'd kick him out." Yesterday, I asked my mom if my boyfriend could stay for dinner, which usually means he'll spend a night too. And she said yeah. Sister-in-law overheard and got mad. She was making snarky comments the rest of breakfast. "Opie and boyfriend spends way too much time together." And, "I'm surprised you guys allow her to have boys in her room. You don't know what they're up to in there." She then said she'd stay home instead of going out to keep an eye on my boyfriend and I because we'd be home alone. I didn't think much of it and went about my day. When my boyfriend did come over, we went to my room to hang out. Not even 10 minutes later, she started barging in trying to tell me to wash dishes, asking me random questions and trying to invite herself to hang with us. Eventually, I locked my door because I got annoyed, and crap hit the fan from there. When she tried to come in once again and realized it was locked, she started screaming and banging on the door, yelling at me to open it. When I did, she started yelling at me how her sister wouldn't even be allowed to lock her bedroom door, so I wasn't allowed to. That's when I had enough. I called her delusional and told her I'm not her late sister and she needed to see a therapist because she needs help. She told my parents what I said and they want me to apologize because it's just her big sister instincts kicking in. My sister also wants me to apologize because what I said was heartless. I refused, and they think I'm an insensitive a-hole for it. Now I feel like what I said was probably in the a-hole territory, and I might have been in the wrong. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She does need to see a therapist. Not the a-hole. That's really messed up of her. And you're correct. She does need some therapy or counseling. It doesn't sound like anyone is giving her a neutral perspective here, and just enabling her to project her late sister on you. Is there anyone in your corner, Opie? A relative or a trusted authority figure? This sounds like a lot to go through alone, and I feel like you could use some sensible backup, because you're definitely not out of line here. I don't have anyone other than my boyfriend and friends. Do you have a close relationship with your parents? I used to, but with them always defending what she does, it's taken a toll in our relationship. I know it's not popular opinion, but everyone sucks here, and here's why. 1. Your sister is an a-hole for brushing you off about your annoyance and concern for a sister-in-law. She also sucks for not being a good partner. Your sister-in-law is clearly struggling, and she's blind to it. 2. Your parents suck because they don't have your back when you're clearly uncomfortable with what sister-in-law is doing. 3. You're a soft a-hole just because of how you said she needs help. In heat of the argument, when you tell someone they need therapy, to onlookers and a person on the receiving end, it sounds like an insult rather than concern. Edit. Is it common to get mixed answers? Like, a lot of comments are saying not the a-hole, but in private messages, I'm being told everyone sucks here / you're the a-hole. I'm confused. I'm also being told I was harsh and should apologize, along with being told my reaction was fine and I don't owe an apology. I'm so confused. Do the private messages even count? Maybe they're trolls. I don't know. I keep commenting to people, but I realize not everyone is going to see my replies. I did move out and had to move back because my apartment complex burned down. I'm back on the road to moving out and hope to by December. I know I need to get away, and I'm trying. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my adoptive sister that she's not entitled to anything our grandmother left behind? My sister, Lara, 27 female, was adopted by our parents at 12 years old. She really never bonded to our parents. Lara attended therapy, and my parents showered her with love and attention, but they never managed to have a close relationship. I, 24 male, was the only one with whom Lara was able to open up to. My grandmother, 87 female, was also very fond of Lara. However, she always rejected her affections, and on many occasions, she was rude to my grandmother. Lara went to college, fully paid for by my parents, at 18, and moved away from home. Her housing and transportation was paid for by our parents as well. When she graduated at 22, she cut off all contact with our family. We later found out that her adoptive family contacted her a little after she turned 18, and they kept in touch for the 4 years of college. Lara waited for my parents to finish paying for her university to move in with her biological parents. Obviously, my parents were devastated. With a lot of effort, they managed to get out of their sadness, and life went back to being normal, and we haven't heard from Lara in 5 years. My grandmother recently passed away, and she left an inheritance and will. Somehow, Lara found out about my grandmother's death and appeared at the meeting where the will was to be read. The commotion was so great that the reading of the will was postponed. That happened last week. Lara left her contact information with my grandmother's attorney. Today was the reading of my grandma's will, and Lara was there, since she is still legally the daughter of my parents, and the lawyer did not want to read my grandmother's will without her. My grandma left Lara one of her rings of average value and an amount of approximately $10. Compared to what she left me or my cousins, it's nothing. Lara was furious. She threw a tantrum and said that surely my parents had manipulated my grandmother to make me leave nothing for her. At this point, my dad was crying. I got angry, and I told her that she had no right to anything that my grandmother left, because she was the one who cut off contact, not us. I also called her some not very pretty names. Lara called me an a-hole and left the place. Now my mother is mad at me because she thinks this was our chance to talk to Lara again and reestablish a relationship with her, and that I ruined that opportunity. Not the a-hole. Also, your parents are wrong. Lara wasn't there to reconnect. She was only there for the money. Opie's mom is absolutely blinded by her own desperation in order not to see the glaring sign Lara's holding that says, "I still don't care about any of you." It's absolutely crazy to me. Lara almost spent more time out of Opie's life than in it. From 12 to 18, they had regular contact. The next to nothing from 18 to 22, and no contact for the last 5 years. Not the a-hole. Lara went off and cut contact for 5 years after your parents finished paying off her university fees. And now she's throwing a tantrum because she thinks she's entitled to your deceased grandmother's stuff? She's entitled and sounds like a giant a-hole. She did you a favor when she cut contact, and she should have stayed away. Your parents are still grieving. And Lara was a massive a-hole to show up when they were grieving the loss of your grandmother and potentially try to take advantage of that emotional state. Also, $10 is about all I would have left her to just to stop her contesting the will. But if that wasn't an issue, I'd say that $10 is maybe $10 too much. Update. Boyfriend faked his death and called my reaction manipulative. Original story. Me and my boyfriend, I'm 21 female, he's 24 male. Together for 3 years. Live apart but have/had plans to rent together soon. Everything was perfect before this. Backstory. I have a history of self-harm. Have done since I was 11 years old. The last time I did it was 2 years ago. I have some brutal scars, but I'm doing much better and I'm in therapy. It's been a while since I even had a urge. My boyfriend had an ex before me who played mind games a lot. I feel it's relevant as he sometimes thinks I'm playing games when I'm not. For example, he was wary when we started dating that I would self-harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. I don't/haven't ever done this, and despite my struggles, I'm pretty good with being patient and communicative. Until this, I considered us to have a really healthy relationship. Main story. Boyfriend went out drinking with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home, around 2 a.m., to let me know he is home and safe, but I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot. No biggie, so I went to bed as normal. I woke up at 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They live together. I called her back and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kind of worried and told her as much. She said my boyfriend didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. This was super weird to me since I get on well with his mom and would never expect to be told this via text. After some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend had passed away that morning, and I totally shut down. The people I lived with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately, and I had an extremely bad relapse on my self-harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was just hurting so much and my usual coping techniques just weren't doing their job. I listened to old voice notes of his, and even sent one telling him how much I loved him through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later, saying it was a prank, since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him driving drunk, as well as about him mushing up his car a little. And him and his friends came up with this plan to just make me happy he was alright. So they took his mom's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful he wasn't dead, but I had a million other much stronger emotions. I was so angry he drove drunk. So angry he saw nothing wrong with it. So angry that he would lie about something so serious. It absolutely heartbroken that he let me sit in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad. Plus lots of other things I'm still struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed and flew off the handle. He said I punished him and turned a harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun, and now he can't trust I won't do it again. He even suggested I stay in hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now, or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I am beyond hurt. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it, I admit. But this wasn't an everyday bout of anxiety or even breakup. I thought he died. I'm also very aware that his actions were massively awful and he is being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was dead? I absolutely would not react like this if he just broke up with me, but I never said or hinted at that. Not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. Now for the top advice before reading the update. What a sick joke. You need to break things off ASAP. What a cruel thing to do. I could never even be friends with someone who did this. The worst part is that he did it to get away from the consequences of drinking and driving. He willingly and purposely hurt you to ease the repercussions of his actions. Let that sink in. Dump him, please. He's a piece of trash. He even took his mom's phone to make it look like she was in on it. That takes it to a whole new level of cruelty. OP, I would dump him immediately and tell his mom what he did. Make sure to actually talk to her so you know she actually knows what he did. Please listen to your gut. This is beyond horrible behavior, not a harmless prank. You deserve to be with someone who has compassion and respect for you. If anything, the boyfriend needs therapy. He was dead. You can't punish the dead. As it stands, if you don't need therapy before, having this BS pulled on you unleashed all sorts of things in your head, which required some working through. They are pranks, and they are pranks completely undeserving of the term. You weren't laughing before or after the revelation. In what world was this supposed to make you feel better? Go with your gut. Be done. There's no forgetting he did this. There's no forgetting how he made you feel. No decent partner does this. That wasn't a prank he pulled. It was a mind game with actual repercussions that he refuses to own. Like the above comment says, no decent partner does this. He is the one who needs help if he thinks his actions are in any way appropriate. Additionally, if he is drunk driving with friends who are encouraging this, then his overall judgment is severely impaired on more than one front. OP, be done with him. You've already mourned who you thought he was. Now celebrate getting away from who he showed himself to really be. Staying with him is only going to drag you back down and away from the strong recovery progress you'd made. Stay strong. Your boyfriend is a horrible person. What he did shows deep character flaws. The drunk driving is bad enough, the more so because he knew it was wrong and chose to do it anyway. But the harmless prank? That's just mean. So disrespectful and inconsiderate, made all the more so by your personal history. And speaking of the accident, did he leave the scene of an accident while he was driving drunk? Or was he late getting home because he got a DUI? He bumped into a fence post, so luckily nobody was injured. But the potential was there as well as the carelessness. I don't know if he was late or not, honestly. I think he planned this almost immediately, and not texting me all night is part of it. And now for the update. Long story short, I broke up with him for the following reasons. Drunk driving, endangering himself and others. Took his mother's phone and made me think it was her. Deception. Telling me he was dead. Deception/extreme emotional stress. Letting me think that for hours. I could list every negative trait for that one. Borderline sociopathic behavior. Not being sorry for any of these things. Telling me I'm too sensitive. Invalidation, shifting blame. Being mad at me for relapsing. Unsupportive, uncaring, unkind. I still won't blame him for the relapse though, as many people here wanted me to. That is on me and I'm still going to therapy regularly for that. So, for those interested, I took a few days to myself. I did speak over the phone to his mom, and she was incredibly apologetic on his behalf. I taught her how to put a passcode on her phone. After that, we met up and I outlined the things I listed above. He seemed apologetic and sincere about all of them and listened to me well. Unfortunately, he didn't quite understand that being apologetic wouldn't get me to change my mind and ending the relationship. He got annoyed at me for ending it, and again told me I was dramatic and other invalidating arguments. Oh well, I said what I needed to say, and that's enough closure for me. Told me I was dramatic. The guy who faked his own death calls you dramatic. You couldn't hold a candle to this guy to draw mistakes. You made the right decision to dump him. Well, I'm glad you didn't buy the fake I'm sorry act. It's so often used by really manipulative people to convince you they have changed. And I'm glad you saw right through that BS. Good on you. Life is too short wasting time in relationships like this. Agreed. As one of the lovesick puppies that kept going back to awful relationships because he was sorry and wouldn't ever do it again. I don't believe I'm sorry anymore. Not for that. He sounds like a psychopath. 100%. So glad Opie has been firm on this decision. The guy's terrifying with his callousness. Nah, psychopaths don't know why what they're doing is wrong. Sociopaths know and do it anyways. My oldest friend, we met when we were 14 and we are going to our 40s now. He faked his death to get back at me. He's an untreated schizophrenic with frequent bouts of paranoia. And over the years, I could recognize the cycles and signs and adjust accordingly. I've been verbally attacked many times and tempted into fights that I refuse to participate in. We've always come through the other side though, you know. I never thought he would fake his death. There's no way he would ever take his antics that far. But that is exactly what he did. His aunt messaged me while I was on vacation from his phone, stating that he was found mauled to death by a bear. Long story short, 6 months went by and the story wasn't adding up. There were so many questions that didn't have answers, timelines that weren't adding up, this aunt that I had never heard of. I'm an ecologist who works in national parks here and there, and I kept abreast of bear attacks. None for him. No obituary shared by friends or family. You see where I'm going with this. He was estranged from his family for his refusal to get medicated, and I truly believe that they had him offed, or that it was offed by someone, and they were trying to hide it. I became investigative and paranoid and distraught. I took a hiatus from university in my senior year, went to therapy, quit my job, because I was so depressed and angry that this injustice took place, and his family didn't seem to care at all about his disappearance. 1 year went by and 1.5 years. I was beginning to recover myself when I get a text from his old phone number. I called it immediately because I thought someone was playing a cruel joke, and he answered. I'm trying to keep this short, so I'll skip what transpired mostly, but a key part was that he claimed to be the victim, asking me if I learned my lesson for not answering his phone calls while I was on vacation, gaslighting me into believing all of his issues were my fault because I never dated him, even though all the codes in the universe told him that we were soulmates. All that progress I did in that year and a half disappeared within that 10-minute call. It really screwed me up. I sympathize. I empathize. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. Cut the toxicity out of your life. Be strong for yourself. Move on. I lost my oldest friend that day, but truly, he wasn't a friend at all. Next story. I'm 30 female disabled and my partner, 33 male, punishes me by withholding help. We've been together for 13 years. We've lived together for 10. I'm disabled. I don't want to get into how, but I can't do most things for myself without any help. I can hardly walk in a straight line or without stumbling. I have no muscle or strength in my arms. My life involves never going outside except for doctor appointments and staying in bed most of the time. Sometimes I have to put my phone down because it's too heavy. I always have a headache and nausea. Always. We have so many arguments, and they're usually over small things. A lot of them are about him helping me. He doesn't refuse, but he will throw such a tantrum about things like taking the dog out or killing a bug flying around because I ask him to. For example, I'm scared to ask for anything. I know I'll hear a sigh, feet stomping, and a horrible remark. If my partner is cleaning something and I point out a missed spot, I get, "Do you want to do it?" Oh wait, I don't think it's fair. I'd do it if I could. I can't open bottles on my own. I can sometimes, but it'll take a long time and I'm tired afterwards. Just now I asked for some water and he sighed and got it for me. We just had an argument regarding finances, so he slammed it down and left the room. I noticed it was still sealed and closed. It seems like such a dumb thing to complain about, but he always opens bottles for me even if I don't ask. Except when he's mad. Same with opening doors for me. Going to the store to get something I need. Sometimes he won't even make us anything to eat because he's mad at me. I hear "do it yourself" in a smug voice at least once a month. You love hearing yourself talk, is the response when I try to talk about it. Is this abuse? What can I do? He's all I have, and I'm literally and figuratively trapped. Edit. I made it sound like I do nothing, but I do get up and help sometimes anyway, even if it hurts me. He's understanding and kind on good days. One wrong move for me, and it goes from 0 to 100 on a bad day though. Sounds like caretaker fatigue. Taking care of myself is enough work, but taking care of someone else for 10 years sounds rough. Not that it makes what is doing okay. It sounds like you're walking on eggshells. If leaving isn't an option, maybe there are things you could do to improve your situation. If you need something at the store, could you order it online instead? Same with food, maybe order in. A dog is a lot of work too, and I hate to even suggest it, but maybe look into rehoming it? That could help avoid more arguments about cleaning or taking the dog out. There are plastic grippers too that might help you open water bottles. Could you get yourself a food tray to use in bed to hold your phone? Counseling for the two of you would probably be a good idea. Other people mentioned in home care which would probably be optimal in this situation, but I'm sure that's costly. Wishing you the best. This. I took care of a loved one when their health declined. I started getting snippy with them over little things. For example, they asked for a fork while I was literally getting one for them, and I felt so upset. Like, give me a second before asking. It blew up into something bigger than it needed to be because I was doing it all alone. I wish I had taken more time to myself to cope, but even showering myself was mentally exhausting after a while. I was depressed and going through the motions. I'm sorry he is speaking to you that way. Sounds like this is really difficult for both of you, and it is not your fault. I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been for you adjusting to life with a disability. And now your husband is burnt out and taking it out on you. Hopefully get some help for his burnt out and things turn around for you both. I apologize, and I don't mean this rudely by any means, but what is your partner getting out of your relationship? Is there even a relationship there, or has it maybe gone toward more of a caretaker type situation? In the best of circumstances and people with the best of intentions get worn down caring for family members or loved ones day in and day out. It's a lot, more than a lot of people realize. OP, you need home health, it sounds like, and your partner needs to attend some anger management classes, along with some therapy sessions. The therapy would probably be beneficial to you as well. There definitely needs to be changes made. It sounds pretty toxic and not healthy. If we aren't fighting, we fight several times a month, then we have a good relationship, seemingly. People who don't know our problems think we're a perfect couple, which just makes me sad, to be honest. We hang out all the time, be intimate, cuddle, the usual. It's just that most days he has to help me. Not like all day long, but many times a day. I know it's hard for him. I just wish he wouldn't punish or scream at me. Now for the last story. My 23 female boyfriend, 24 male, put me down after I jokingly referred to a co-worker as a work husband. So I talk to my boyfriend about work a lot like most people do, and I talk about my co-workers a lot. I frequently mention this guy, who I have no feelings for by the way, who's one of my best friends at work in addition to many other friends. My boyfriend joked about how we talk a lot, and I teased him and said he was like my work husband. My boyfriend paused for a moment, then said that a lot of guys aren't into the fact that I don't have that high of a libido, and that I was willing to overlook it unlike most men, and added, just let me know. It felt oddly personal, but at the same time maybe I hurt his feelings when I referred to the guy as my work husband. What do you think of this? Now for the advice. While his response leaves a lot to be desired, in his defense, you are throwing out a couple of signs that maybe you do in fact have a crush on this co-worker, and your joke only added another. Yup. Boyfriend's response wasn't called for, but so was calling someone else your work husband. Regardless of how it was meant, I feel like most people can agree that it's throwing out signals that you have feelings for this person, OP. Sounds like both of you have behaviors to apologize for. She totally does. You would never use that term in any other context. How many stories here about cheating start with my work blank? He interprets husband as being a more permanent, established relationship than boyfriend. You just downgraded him in comparison to your work colleague. Absolutely. The idea of a work husband is extremely disrespectful. Boyfriend probably should have responded with, I guess you don't need a boyfriend then. He could have gotten his warning shot in without attacking a potential insecurity. Update. Am I the a-hole for not telling my coworker my brother was dead and catching her in a terrible lie? Original post. I, 22 female, am a triplet with 2 brothers, but one of my brothers passed away when we were 14. Whenever anyone new asks if I have any siblings, I just say I'm a triplet with 2 brothers. I'm not trying to trauma dump when doing small talk with someone I'm not very close to. From talking to people in grief support, I thought this was relatively common. I started working at a new job 3 months ago. I like my coworkers, but still feel like an outsider to them. So when they ask how many siblings I have, I gave the above answer. No problems there. 1 week I didn't have my car, so my other triplet brother picked me up every day. My coworker Kate saw him and thought he was cute, and asked me to set them up. I said no, because he has a girlfriend. She asked about my other brother, and I just said he isn't available either. Not a lie, but I guess kind of a mission, because he's deceased and not just in a relationship. A few weeks later, I hear Kate talking crap about me to the other coworkers our age when I'm in the same lunchroom. She didn't believe that my other brother wasn't available because she saw that he's single on Insta. I have no clue what she's talking about because I never had an account. My best guess is that she assumed one of my male cousins who shares our last name and is in pics with me and my brother was actually the 3rd triplet. Who knows? I never engaged with the whispers because I hate confrontation. A day after that, some of my coworkers come up to me and ask what's wrong with me. I was super confused. Then they told me that my brother had SA allegations against him in college. And the real reason I didn't set him up with Kate is because I knew he was dangerous, but still supported him. Apparently, Kate said she found all this out from someone who also went to my college. I'm still in the same town. I was shocked and just told them that was impossible because my brother died when he was 14. They didn't believe me and then called Kate over and all 3 of them called me a liar. I showed them pictures of the funeral, pictures of us at his grave, my brother and I holding his picture at our graduations. Then they all piled on me, called me a liar for not saying my brother was dead. But Kate made up a horrific allegation for no reason? They're all icing me out and whispers are going around the office. I don't know what they are saying, but no one seems to understand my side. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I talked about my brother the way I always have. The girls made me feel like I was such a horrible person and a liar who can't be trusted, and I don't understand. My family is all on my side, but they're all fiercely protective of me, and especially my deceased brother's memories, so it's biased. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Kate is pure scum. If you believe in ghosts, maybe your late brother will come down and hunt her for defaming him and making you so miserable. Go to your manager, explain the situation, and let her know what she said about your late brother. That's defamation. What kind of person spreads such vicious lies? And what happens if your brother had still been around, and she told everybody that he had assaulted somebody? There is a special place in hell for people like her. What kind of person looks at photos of kids at a funeral and calls the person a liar? This practice is unhinged, and the manager needs to crack down immediately. I would make a complaint with your manager/HR about Kate making false rumors about your family and forcing you to discuss your grief. Freaking hell, even if he wasn't deceased, may he rest in peace, I'd not want Kate anywhere near me/my family. It's completely up to you and your story to explain, but maybe next time you could word it different to he's not available. But she definitely crazy. Thank you for that. I work at a small private medical clinic, so we don't have any formal HR. But I'm hoping our admin manager will suffice. I'll see if I can think of any alternate wording that I could use if the question comes up again. Complain about the others as well. Drop the phrase hostile work environment if you have to. As an HR professional, magic words right there. Throw in a don't feel safe and then send an update. Now for the update. My one and only update. Skip the next 3 paragraphs if you only want the update. I just want to address the way I talk about my brother since there are so many mixed opinions. I can never ever talk about my brother like he never existed. To me, that's so disrespectful to his memory. I think you won't understand unless you're in these shoes. If you are and speak about your loved one differently, that's fine. My brothers and I did everything together. We were born and raised as a set of 3. We wore matching outfits and went to the same schools. We immigrated to the US together. We celebrated every birthday and major milestone together. When he died, a part of me died too. I haven't enjoyed my birthday since because instead of being happy I'm older, I just think about how he can't celebrate his own day. No life circumstances changed the fact we were born as triplets. I could never say I have only one brother because to me that's not true. My other brother and parents speak the same way. A lot of people in my grief support group do too. No one has ever gotten upset at me and have been very understanding about it. However, people have been weird when I used to say he was dead up front soon after his death, which is why I switched in the first place. Which is why I was so stunned Kate blew up at me. But I think I might consider being more blunt. I guess someone's gonna be mad or weird about it no matter how I say. Now for the update. So I was too chicken to talk in person to my administration manager right away after this post and all of the help. I emailed her when I left for work Monday, and she was still there for another 2 hours and asked to talk in person today before clinic started. Work was definitely weird, but I just avoided Kate and those girls, and got help from other staff when needed. I talked early today to my manager after she read my email, and she was horrified. Apologized to me again and again and told me all three would be dealt with. But seems like she was most angry at Kate. She didn't guarantee exactly anything would happen because she still has to do an investigation and get everyone's sides. But I think they will definitely be punished some way. I don't know if that's getting fired or suspension or just scolded. But that made me happier. I think I should clarify my coworkers other than those three. Haven't been icing me out, just whispering because they know something happened between us. But I like them and they're very nice to me. I didn't talk to them about it since I took it up higher, but I hope they understand me. I'm not sure if I'm staying at this office. Depends on what happens to the three girls in the next weeks. But I probably won't update again. I know a lot of people wanted me to take legal action, but I really don't want to rock the boat too much. I'm applying to medical school right now and hope to start in fall 2025. So I just want this behind me fast and not have any court stuff on my record for now. If it gets too bad, I'd rather just leave and enjoy my last year of freedom. That's pretty much all that happened. I wanted to thank you all so much for all of the kind words these past days. I was going through confusion, and your comments made me angrier towards Kate and made me take action. You are so sweet and helped me through a tough time. I think I'll be okay. Kate made up false assault allegations because she couldn't bang your brother who she didn't know anything about. What a freaking psycho. Dude, Kate is deranged. I'm so very sorry this happened to you, and I get the not mentioning your brother died in casual conversations. I'm glad your boss is taking this seriously. If Kate was my employee, I'd fire her if it was feasible, legally, procedure compliant, etc. It speaks to a mind I do not trust to make sound decisions, and I don't micromanage, so F that. Messy colleagues always suck. Keep your workspace and mouth from being gross, Kate. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making him food after his work wife kept making him food? Me, female 27, and my husband, male 34, have been married for 3 years, but we're dating 4 years prior. He recently got a promotion in his company and moved to a different department. In this department, he recently started interacting with female 24. I disliked her and have from the start. Every time I'm there, she makes sure to call him her work husband, or she will do simple things such as making him food or giving him extra tight hugs. But my breaking point was last week when he had come home with the food I made him. When I asked him why his lunch bag was still full of what I had made him in the morning, he said that female 24 had made him food, and he didn't want to seem rude and waste it. So I ignored it, till he threw away the food I made him. I woke up at 6 a.m. just to make him his favorite food. But ever since then, this has been happening every day. It started to get annoying. Till today, I decided to not make him lunch. He came downstairs in the morning to me making breakfast and asked me where his lunch was. I said I didn't make him one because it was going to go to waste anyways. He started arguing that I was being petty over a little thing. But I tried to discuss how I felt and he went over it. So am I the a-hole for not making him food? Now for the comments before the mini update. Your husband is an idiot. He's absorbing the attention from a young female coworker and snubbing his wife. You are a rarity in today's world. My wife has prepared my lunches for the past 26 years, not out of duty or coercion, but out of love. I would be damned if I would worry about another person's feelings, let alone a female at the sacrifice of my wife. It's not about the food, it's a labor of love. I hope for both of your sakes he gets his head out of his behind before it's too late. This isn't just about food. This is about work wife. Her hugging him, her making him lunch and bringing it for him from her home. She's trying to seduce him and is allowing it. Totally agree with this. Coworker is seducing him. Tell it to him if he is oblivious to it and make your unhappiness known. He's going to affair territory. Not a-hole. The food isn't the issue here, clearly. There are so many Reddit stories that started with a work wife providing OP's ex-husband with food. There was even one where the work wife told the pregnant wife that the husband liked her cooking better, so she'd better watch out or she'd be taking her husband. That wife ended up having to co-parent with her ex-husband and work wife he ended up marrying. I think in plain words, you need to tell your husband that you don't want him interacting with her at all unless it's required for business, and only as minimum as necessary. Her behavior from consistently cooking for him to calling him her work husband and giving him tight hugs are extremely inappropriate. He should not be more worried about hurting a coworker's feelings than disrespecting his marriage. He didn't want to hurt her feelings by not eating her food, but he has no issue with throwing his own wife's food away in front of you? His coworker's behavior is a direct threat to his marriage, and it is his responsibility to set and enforce the boundaries to protect said marriage. Your husband is an idiot and opening himself up to complaints if he has any sort of seniority and makes preferential decisions regarding his friend. It doesn't take much effort for those around them to extrapolate extra tight hugs into their having an affair via office gossip. He shouldn't be allowing her to hug him, full stop, and he needs to tell her to not make him food. They're definitely going to be the talk of the department. I'd bet they already are. Mini update. Me and him are going to talk when he gets back home. But I did talk to him a little bit before he went to the shower. He just got mad when I asked if I could see his text between her, which ended in him getting defensive and saying that if I trust him, I wouldn't need to. I may bring up the option of divorce, but I need to figure out the financial situation first. I have a job, but it barely even pays. But until then, I must start packing up my stuff little by little, talking to a divorce attorney and figuring out where to go from there. But I won't till me and him have a talk. But thank you to everyone who has let me open up on this a little bit. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my coworker I can't attend her funeral because I'm busy that day? So here's the situation. I have this coworker. Let's call her Karen. Karen is a character. She's always talking about these elaborate plans for every possible scenario. Last week, she told us she had pre-planned her entire funeral, complete with a guest list, catering, and even a DJ. Apparently, she wants her final send-off to be a lit celebration of life. Anyway, out of the blue yesterday, Karen walks up to me during lunch and says, "Hey, just so you know, I've penciled you in for my funeral next Saturday at 2 p.m. It's going to be fabulous, and I'd really appreciate your attendance." Now here's the thing, I'm alive and kicking, so the idea of attending a funeral for someone who's very much alive just felt weird. Plus, I already have plans next Saturday to binge watch an entire season of Stranger Things and eat my weight in pizza. So without really thinking, I just blurted out, "Sorry Karen, I can't make it. I'm busy that day." She looked at me like I just slapped her with a cold fish. "Busy?" she asked, her voice dripping with disbelief. "You can't be too busy for a friend's funeral." Now, Karen has been giving me the cold shoulder ever since, and our other coworkers are split. Some think I'm a heartless jerk for not going along with her bizarre funeral dress rehearsal, while others think she's completely off her rocker for expecting people to actually attend this thing. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for telling my very much alive coworker I can't attend her self-planned, preemptive funeral because I'm busy watching Netflix? Edit. For those asking about her well-being, she's fine. I've overheard somebody asking her and she replied that it's just a celebration of life. So yes, it seems to be a narcissistic event. Not a-hole. Asking people to attend a funeral when you're alive, and while it is not completely ludicrous, but also could be upsetting for people who have actually lost someone, especially recently, since she's kind of making a joke out of funerals. I agree with the people that think she's off her rocker. Right? I find it really upsetting. I just lost an old friend who didn't even make it to her living funeral/celebration of life. We were planning to give it to her the opportunity to see the people she wanted to see all at once, giving her precious time travel with her partner before entering hospice. But the pain came so quickly, the meds just swallowed her up, and the person we knew never resurfaced. She died 10 months after her initial pancreatic cancer diagnosis, about a week before her birthday and her celebration. She was an amazing human being, a relentless force of equity, education, and social justice. It's maddeningly unfair that she's gone, and I'm still heartbroken that I didn't get to say goodbye to her. Having a living funeral is a sacred thing, a rare and incredible opportunity. And though I wish it was more common to have celebrations for our elderly while they're here, for our friends and loved ones going round after round with leukemia, I don't think it should be trivialized by someone who is healthy, young, and able-bodied. This whole scenario makes me really angry, the more I think about it actually. Let's call it what it really is. It's a party for a narcissist. You have no obligation to attend and shouldn't feel pressured by anyone into doing something you don't want to do. I always hold the opinion that work colleagues are just that, colleagues. They're not friends, and I don't socialize with them. If you feel pressured/harassed on this issue, I suggest you speak to your boss or the HR dept. Well, I mean, it's just a weird situation. There are a few other people that are fond of this woman and will do these kinds of things for her. I couldn't care less, and I refuse to entertain that kind of behavior. But of course, I work there and I don't want to make enemies or be on bad terms with anybody. It's a weird one. I didn't expect anybody to think it's okay to put people on these kinds of situations, to be honest. If you're not being paid to attend his party, you have absolutely no obligation to go. It's very weird behavior. I know, of course. It's just the way she handled the whole thing made me feel like I was doing something wrong. Imagine being paid for that. It would even be more weird. Funeral rehearsal. Does it include burial or cremation? Just curious. Oh, and not a-hole. I would go all in on believing that she is gleefully going to end it all before the party and give her the number of a helpline, then be horrified when she advises that she's just doing this highly inappropriate thing for fun. Or turn up and scream in horror that she escaped the casket and must be a zombie. Call a newspaper and tip them off that the sick faux funeral is taking place and she may become a laughingstock.